The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. One of the things I really enjoy about doing the show, I mean, obviously I get to talk to a lot of people, but it actually reconnects me with some people I've known a long time, but life goes in different directions, and you kind of, well, you just go in different directions. And then you reunite and you pick up where you left off. Dave Thomas, my friend, nice to see you.
You too.
And thanks for giving me your time here today.
I appreciate it.
You're so quiet. I know you're like, usually like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Why does David Burrows want to interview me? And I'll tell you why. It's you've got a lot of stories to tell. You're good at stories and your musical background. And you've made, a nice life for yourself here. And let's start. Where do you come from?
Well, way back when I had hair, I was born and raised in Montana in the United States.
Yeah.
Mostly on a farm.
Okay.
In a little town.
Yeah.
But my dad was in the Border Patrol. So we moved around a lot. We moved around, every 2-3 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That was hard then, was it, as growing up?
Growing up, yeah, it kind of made it difficult to make friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we bounced around. We went from Browning, Montana to, first was Harlingen, Texas, after I was born in Conrad, Montana. And my dad got the nod to go into the Border Patrol Academy, which is in Texas. So we moved down there, and then we moved back to Montana, ended up living on an Indian reservation of all places.
Right.
In Browning with the Blackfeet. From there, we moved to Malta, Montana, which is a little small town up on the High Line, about 40 miles south of the Canadian border.
Yeah.
So up in the area of the Rockies. My grandfather had a grain farm in Conrad, which is, he homesteaded. So
right.
That was basically my roots back there. And my mom's family emigrated from Ireland, and they homesteaded there too. And Dad and Mom met, and here I am.
Right. Yeah, where you came from. Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, that's a lot of moving around, and then my viewers are going to laugh. Well, you always ask that question. So then, what was school life like for you?
School, frankly, I kind of had a blast. I didn't really have to work at it. I was lucky that way, I guess.
Why was that? Was it just your personality?
I was intelligent.
Yeah, okay.
And hyperactive.
Yeah.
And I would get all my work done, and then I'd just be bored for something to do, so I would disrupt the class. And
your class clown?
Yeah, kind of. But I had a permanent desk out in the hallway.
Right. Well, you've still got a sense of humor. That's one thing I've always known about you, is your sense of humor.
If you can't laugh about it, you're going to cry about it.
Yeah, yeah. What's so Mom and Dad, talk about what was Dad like?
My dad was like a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was larger than life. When he retired as sector chief in the Border Patrol, which is give you an idea, he would be like the level of a major general.
Yeah, okay.
In the military. Very well respected. My family was he was always in law enforcement and knew everybody everywhere. I couldn't get away with nothing.
Yeah. Was that annoying sometimes?
Yeah.
Oh, you know my dad?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I hear you.
When I got in trouble, they said, well, wait till your dad finds out. And I'm thinking, oh, man.
Oh, boy, this isn't going to go well.
Not going to go well at all. And a few times it didn't.
Yeah.
But he kind of wanted me to go into that. But I got real restless feet. We moved to North Dakota when I was in high school. moved to Grand Forks, North Dakota. And when I graduated, I went outside of town and I just looked around myself, and you could turn 360 degrees and see the same thing as far as your eye could see.
Yeah.
Sugar beet fields. I'm thinking, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I want to see more.
I got to get out of here.
Yeah, okay.
So I was solicited by the Marine Corps recruiter when I was in high school. I was 17.
Wow.
And he gave me a little hint. He says, if you sign the dotted line, he says, we can get you into the U.S. Marine Band. You can play in the band for your game. And I'm thinking, well, that wouldn't be too bad.
So you were already into music at this time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I started playing.
That come from?
Well, I started playing piano when I was around 3 or 4. My grandmother had a honky-tonk piano in the basement.
Oh, nice.
Of her farmhouse. Every time I went there, I would get out the Sears catalogs and climb up there, play like I knew what I was doing. My other grandparents on my dad's side, when I was, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that,
Okay.
we went to dinner. And my grandfather is from Chicago, as is my dad. So we went into Chicago for dinner at the supper club. And there was this ancient old guy playing the piano there. And he was playing Alley Cat.
Oh, wow.
Very famous song.
Yeah.
And I listened very closely. And we said our goodbyes. And everybody went off their separate ways. And we went home. And the first thing I did was I clanked it on the piano. And I started playing Alley Cat.
Wow.
With both hands.
And you were how old?
Maybe 4 and a half.
Wow.
5 years old.
Wow. That's not an easy song.
No,
most anyway.
My mom came into the room and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm playing Alley Cat." He said, "Play it again." So I did. The first song I'd ever learned, but I had no idea that was going to pave the way for me doing what I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was.
But 4 years old, I mean, that's an Elton John story. Like, let's be honest, right? No, it is an Elton John story. Young age, and so you play mostly by ear then still, or do you read?
No, I took classical lessons up till my senior year in high school. So about 11, 12 years of classical lessons, and then 2 years of jazz. Then I joined the U.S. Marine Corps Band, which is really different.
Yeah. Because you wanted something different.
Ostensibly, they were going to have me play piano. But think about that for a second.
Piano in a military band.
In a military band.
Kind of hard to carry the piano marching.
Exactly. But the military band encompasses a lot of things. They have concert bands, they have stage bands, they have combos, and the other thing. So when they do concerts, my job was to play the piano. And that worked out really well. But on the other hand, we did a lot of marching, a lot of parades. The Rose Bowl parade, I marched in 3 times, and the 4th time I was the driver for the captain.
Wow.
I decided I didn't want to walk in the parade. It's 3.5 miles long.
Yeah, right.
But
still
and playing nonstop. Well, they gave me the most unmusical instrument they could think of.
Yeah.
Cymbals. Great big brass pipe plates.
Yeah.
In front of my
headaches.
You got to try playing those with a hangover.
Not recommended.
No, sir.
So how long was that you were in the well, I guess you were essentially in the military.
I was active duty in the Marines for 4 years, 2 years reserve. Yeah. And when I got out, I was in San Diego. And this guy came up to me and says, "We're having auditions over to this restaurant. We're going on the road in a couple of months. We're playing the Playboy clubs across the country." Well, I said, "Just sign me up."
Right. Let's go. What do I got to do?
So I went and auditioned with this band and passed the audition. And next thing I know, we're on the road doing the Playboy Club.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is kind of cool.
And you're still now. What's the age at this time?
By then I'm 22.
Yeah. Okay. So you're a young fella and having a good time.
I was in the Marines I actually went in when I was 17. My dad signed a waiver that allowed me to get in at that time. And it was right at the end of the Vietnam War. So they were still accepting anybody that wanted to come.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I got out, I did my 4 years active. And unfortunately, I probably would have lasted longer. But I kind of had a pretty bad accident when we were out running. I fell down the steps of the Joe Robbie Stadium.
Oh.
And fractured my right knee. I did a kind of a roll down a couple of flights of cement stairs.
Yeah. Ouch.
And I was, at the time, I was taking NCO school, which is the next step. You get another stripe. And they re-enlist you, and you get the bonus and all that stuff.
Right.
Well, they said, you can't conduct sword drill on crutches, buddy.
Yeah.
And you're on crutches for the next 9 weeks. And I said, well, you know what?
How'd you take that?
I kind of took it in stride. It didn't really bother me that much.
No.
At the time, at that age, I don't think you really think about your future too much.
I guess not. Like you're sort of trying to figure it out, and this figure it out stage. Like I'm supposed to do something, but I don't know what it is. Is that where you were at?
Yeah, kind of that. Kind of there. I knew I was going to be doing something having to do with music.
Yeah, right.
Because I was always playing. Music was a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
It always has.
And you've played all over. Like, okay, you're talking Rose Bowl, you're talking military.
Yeah.
You're
I've been in every kind of band you can imagine.
Yeah. You played Las Vegas?
We did. We played Vegas, Reno, Tahoe, Atlantic City. What a great gig.
Yeah.
What a lot of fun. I met Tom Jones at the Resorts International in Atlantic City. He came and watched our show.
Oh, nice.
Let me see. Sister Sledge, the three girls were
really
in the audience
nice.
When we did it. Met Don Rickles.
Oh my goodness!
One of my favorite guys.
Did you get a word in?
Not edgewise, and no, he was just.
He just was Don Rickles, right? Yeah. How cool is that?
But I met quite a few different personalities.
Ray Charles,
yes, they did.
Yeah, how'd that talk about that?
Well, it was kind of a weird thing. I totally unexpected. I was getting ready to move from California to Florida, and things were just kind of topsy-turvy right then. And they were having the Long Beach Jazz Festival.
Okay.
It's held in the parking lot next to the Queen Mary.
Oh.
I think Epcot Center's real close to that.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, it's got a big dome that you can see from the parking lot. We took this whole huge parking lot and turned it into a concert venue.
Nice.
So we built an 80-foot stage.
Wow.
This thing was monstrous and had speakers up to the sky. It was just amazing. But the lineup of musicians that came and played there was just phenomenal. I mean, Ronnie Law's quartet, Ray Charles, Hiroshima,
really?
Bands like that, and they staggered them through the weekend. Well, Ray's show was on a Friday night, and I got hired as a stagehand.
Okay.
Essentially, the guy that just put everything together on stage for each act to come up. One of the guys. So I knew he was going to be playing the piano. We had a beautiful Steinway Grand.
Oh, wow.
Went and tuned it, got it really nice and beautiful sounding, and rolled it out on stage, got everything positioned. I got to escort Ray out and sit him down at his piano.
Nice.
For his show, which was way cool.
Right.
I'm like looking out there, and all these people are yelling and screaming. And
I'm walking out Ray Charles onto the stage.
Cool.
Yeah.
But during the show, I got to go up on the catwalk and take pictures with my camera. So I got some great shots of the show. And the next morning, anyway, the show was wonderful. The next morning, I was supposed to get the stage ready for the Ronnie Laws Quartet. They were coming in at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody there. Place is deserted. So I got just me and the piano. So I get it tuned again, tweaking it in just a little bit, made it sound really nice. And I was playing some nice, soft, little melodic stuff, just kind of easy. Oh Lord, excuse me.
All right.
And from stage right, now I really don't want to get. I don't want anybody to be offended by this, but I'm using Ray's words.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
I didn't know he was there. He had snuck in and was sitting on a bench off stage right, and I'm playing by myself on the stage. And I hear this voice said, "Come on now, don't put the to sleep." He said, "Play me some boogie woogie." I look over at Ray, and he's leaning there on his cane, just looking at me with his mind. And I'm going, "Oh my God, what do I do?" He said, "Play me some boogie woogie." So I had to. I mean, how do you turn it down, right?
Right.
So it was. I was.
Well, Ray Charles has spoken.
I was pretty freaked out.
Yeah. You're a young fella, and you're enjoying life, and you're in this area of like, you probably were going like, how did I get here?
Pretty much.
Right. And then to have that experience unplanned.
Completely
it's not like you
unscripted.
ran, I got to meet Ray Charles.
No, it's completely unscripted.
You put yourself in. Yeah, interesting. Wow, what a great story. And see, this is like, I know you're a great musician. Like, as long as I've known you, you played the piano, and I knew about your military and everything. But like, I've worked with you on some different shows and stuff, and you just have that. It's natural to you. Like, you talked about 4 years old, but I've experienced that with you, where, I've said, okay, this, or somebody else has said this, and you just play it. Like, where does this come from, I guess, is what
I can't explain.
Your dad wasn't musical?
My dad couldn't carry a tune in a bucket.
No, and your mom?
My mom could play piano very well, and she sang with the Sweet Adelines until she was in her 70s.
Wow.
For years and years she sang. She was my biggest fan.
Yeah. Moms are usually like that. Good moms.
Well, anyway, I was her baby.
Yeah, right. That's how I learned. I don't really tinkle the ivories anymore, but I did, and I got it from my mother played piano, my dad played the organ, right? So it was definitely bound for me to have it somewhere along the line. But I didn't stick with it, unfortunately. But that's those life experiences. You've had a lot of that, and then fast forward to coming to Canada. Talk about that, and there's somebody local here that really helped you out with that.
Well, there's a whole lot of stuff that happened in between there. Mm-hmm. I started a career as a audiovisual specialist,
right,
with one of the largest audiovisual rental companies in the country. I won't mention names, but they moved me from Ohio to Florida to Colorado, to Tennessee, Palm Beach, Florida. I was directing audiovisual services in 2 different hotels down there. And in Colorado, I was working in Aspen at the St. Regis, which is freaking awesome.
You've done so many awesome things.
It was pretty crazy. And while I was at the St. Regis, they were setting up a state dinner for Bill Clinton. He was coming to speak. And they thought a nice centerpiece for the room would be the grand piano. So they rolled it out there. And then it occurred to them they didn't have anybody to play it. So I get a call on my office phone. "Dave, what are you doing Saturday night?" Well, after I set up the ballroom, I was planning on going home. "How'd you like to just play for the evening? Just kind of play cocktail music during the cocktail hour." "Oh, great, sure." So I put on my tux and off I went. Turns out it's for Bill Clinton, and he comes over to the piano and he says, "You mind if I get my horn?" I said, "You're kidding me, right?" He said, no, it's upstairs in my room. Feel free. So about
wow.
10 minutes later, Bill comes in with his sax and
So this is when
jams some
he
blues
wasn't
with me.
president yet.
No, this
was
is after his presidency.
This is after.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got my picture taken.
How you doing, Bill?
Yeah. Got my picture taken with him. It didn't look like me at all because I didn't have a beard.
Right. Okay.
I just had this weird
You still have that picture?
European mustache. I got it somewhere.
Yeah,
I keep it on the wall in my studio.
Any conversation with him?
Nothing to speak of, really.
Yeah, just very minimal. Like, hi, how you doing? Thanks for letting me play. And yeah.
Yep.
But you played well together?
Oh, it was seamless.
Yeah, he was very talented with his horn.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Locked right into the blues groove. Knew the 1-4-5 progression.
And ran with it.
Yippee.
Yeah.
Anyway, after all of that happened, I'm living in Tennessee at the time, and I decided to get out of the audiovisual business. It was just burning me out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spending 80 hours a week at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting paid salary, which is not bad as far as bottom line goes, but you balance off the number of hours that you put into it. You end up making like $15-20 an hour. So
Yeah.
After a while, it was really grinding on me. So I got this bizarre idea that I wanted to drive a truck.
Oh.
So I went and got my CDL, commercial driver's license, for those of you who don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It's like the AZ in Canada.
Yeah, right.
And drove interstate transport, like freight trucks, coast to coast, long haul, for 10 years.
Wow.
Had a blast, saw every state in the United States.
They saw a lot of sunsets
for Maine.
Oh, yeah?
Never did get to Maine.
Maine's nice. I've been there.
I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's nice for sure.
Anyway, let me get back to it. I did that while we were in Tennessee, and in 2008, the bank crash happened.
Yeah.
And the stock market crashed, and everybody lost a lot of money. And there were a lot of things going on with mortgages and houses. And at the time, I had a Veterans Administration loan for a house. And they reneged on it.
Wow.
And they foreclosed on our house, and we lost it. Essentially, we had nothing, really. We're wondering what to do, and made a call to my friend Stevie Dumont. Stevie D to some of you out there who knows who that is. I played for Stevie and Rita's wedding back in 1990.
Okay.
Because we were living in Alvinston at the time, of all places. We had moved up from Florida, from the neighborhood where Adam Walsh's disappearance.
Yep.
And my wife decided that wasn't the environment that we wanted to raise kids in, so she wanted to bring them up to Canada, to a small school, a little more one-on-one attention. So anyway, after that, we had moved back to the States, and I was continuing to work. But this time, when we came across, we had our fan and our cat and our clothes. Not much else. Steve and Rita put us up in their home. Said, you just come in and relax and call it home. Get your feet under you. No pressure. And at the time, he was running Play for Music.
Yeah, right.
Out of that bakery down
on Mitten Street there. Yeah, I remember
that. And I started working with him over at Playfair. And we got to start gigging a little bit. Actually, the first night I got here, Steve asked me to play with him.
Oh, yeah.
And we were playing Dempsey's at the time.
Oh, wow. Welcome to Canada.
Yeah, welcome to Tennessee. Yeah. Try this on for size. It was great fun, though.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun to play with Steve.
He's got a lot of energy.
Oh, he certainly does.
Yeah.
Knows a lot of people, too.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about Steve's kindness and Rita's welcome. You know, it meant a lot because the bottom had fallen out for us.
Yeah.
And they kind of kept us from going under.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my launch point here in Sarnia.
Yeah.
And I've been here since 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And Wolf Van Waldo,
Yeah.
the sax player that I play with
Yeah.
in the overtones, happened to need a room. And we, at the time, we were living on that house at the end of Brock Street on London.
Oh, yeah, right.
Well, Wolf became my roommate.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, we're playing. And
Yeah.
we set up the whole downstairs as a studio. There was keyboards all over the place. We were playing duos, and he would bring somebody over on bass or somebody on guitar or whatever, and it just turned into a giant music frenzy.
Yeah.
But that started Wolf and I going.
Yeah. And you guys played together for a long time.
Well, we've been playing together 11 years now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I
11
remember,
years.
like, I remember the first time I saw you guys promoting that you were playing, and then I think it might have been Ups and Downs or something. I saw you at one time.
Yeah, could have been.
I can't remember where, but I remember thinking.
We played there a lot.
Yeah. And Wolf, he's a unique character too, and in his own right, you know.
Yes, he is.
And very talented, super talented, and
absolutely
just wants to play.
Oh, he has music in his soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only that, but he actually he was the instigator of me getting into the Masons. Okay. I joined the Freemasons 4 years ago.
And what do they do? Just for maybe people who don't understand.
The Masons are a benevolent society. It's a fraternity of sorts. We're not a secret society.
Yeah.
We're a society with one or two secrets.
Right.
But hey, doesn't everybody have one?
Right. Yeah, no, I remember.
Anyway, primarily the Masons are a benevolent society. We support charities. We support this St. Joseph Hospice, and quite a few fundraisers and things through the year that were
community support.
Yeah, community support. And they keep me pretty busy over there because, in addition to being a member of the lodge, I'm also the groundskeeper and the building manager.
Right. How do you do it all, Dave?
I don't know.
There's 24 hours in the day. I know. You sleep once in a while?
Once in a while.
Yeah. That's a lot of different directions or paths to different directions, but it all seems, everything you've shared all seems to come around full circle.
Well, it kind of does. And here's another one. I got hired as an organist at High Park United Church.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
Way back when. And then that church, through fiscal failure or whatever the heck happened, ended up closing.
Yeah.
And the congregation went to St. Paul's on Divine Street.
Okay.
Well, they said, Dave, you want to come on over and be the organist here?
Right.
I said, well, sure. So here I'm, choir director and organist at a United Church, active Mason, working part-time at a power equipment company.
Right.
I have 6 private students that come to my studio every week. Let's see, what else do I do? Lord.
Well, you've got your own little studio here.
Well, I actually do. Yeah.
That we'll show people here, and so people can come here and record and you mix. And I know I gave them a little bit of a project. We'll see how that turns out. I have high hopes for that, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I'm trying not to let
you know. You know, you're an eclectic guy. That's the way I've always liked to describe it, meaning you like a lot of different things.
I don't want to be bored.
But they're all related. Yeah, right? You don't sit around much.
Nope. No dust collects on me.
Yeah. I hear you. It's but it's interesting that you know, like coming from the United States to Canada, what I mean, especially then, you know, we don't have to get into the pandemic, but you know, how our two countries really handle things differently. Politics is run differently.
Oh Lord.
Without deeply getting into it, do you prefer picking one over the other? Do you prefer Canada?
I think I do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously you've got some roots there still, but
it's a little less embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah, is that right? Has it always been like that? Like growing up in the States? So it was only of like
the last
when the DT got in?
Yeah.
It wasn't before that?
No.
No.
There were riffles.
Yeah.
There are problems here and there.
And even now, like, it's still kind of a different
and
story.
Politics are what they are. I try not to pay any attention.
You don't follow them?
Uh-uh.
No. It's hard to follow, isn't it? How do you keep track?
Because then people accuse you of picking sides, and I don't pick sides.
Yeah. I don't really either. I don't have a color, so to speak. But how was the pandemic for you? Somebody who's
it was awful.
Yeah.
I got COVID early on.
Yeah.
In 2019, I came down with it.
Mm-hmm.
Before they rolled out the vaccination.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was before they shut everything down.
And I was so sick. I honestly thought I was going to die.
Wow.
It was bad.
What a horrible feeling.
I had 104.5 fever for 3 weeks.
Crazy.
I lost 35 pounds, which is not.
And did they know what it was right away?
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
So they just knew I was really sick. And then I tried to get a bed at the hospital, and there wasn't any.
Mm.
So they said, you're going to have to deal with it at home.
Mm. Not knowing what it was.
Right. Big surprise there.
Were you distancing yourself from people at that time?
Yeah. Out of precaution.
Yeah. I mean, as you would with, I guess, a bad cold or whatever.
But I think the very worst thing about the whole COVID thing, especially here and in Sarnia and for musicians,
mm-hmm.
all of us were out of work.
Yeah.
Period. No entertainment.
That was your living. Yeah.
Nobody wanted to hear anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody went out anywhere. Nobody played anywhere. Nothing.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, and then it was only supposed to be 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. It turned into
longest 2 weeks of our life, I always say.
Lord.
But then there was a point though where did you adapt? Like, did you do the play online thing?
A little bit.
Yeah. But that wasn't financially.
Not really a doable thing financially.
Yeah. Just kind of gave you something to do and kept your face up there.
A few times I got together with a couple of local musicians and we had like a COVID outside concert.
Yeah, right.
Like in Bruce Dean's front yard.
Right.
I think he called us. What the heck was the name he called the band? I can't remember.
Pardon me.
Some silly thing. It was like.
Sure, you don't still have it.
Three's a crowd or something like that.
Anyway,
There's some reference to the number of people that could gather.
Yeah, right.
All right. But it all seems silly when you look back at it, how hard everybody tried to justify their actions
mm-hmm.
and make everybody think the same way. Well, people don't think the same way.
Well, and so did you find people that you've known for maybe a long time? Did you kind of look at some of them differently and go, wow, really? You think like that? Or did you?
Because all of a sudden you're made aware of their opinions and they're
beliefs.
Very vocal about them.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I had no idea you felt like that way.
Yeah. So friends changed?
Yeah. Quite a few friends changed.
Yeah.
Family changed.
Yeah. Wow. That's tough, right? Because we don't get to pick our families sometimes, but
no.
But people you were close to.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just.
Yeah, it was just night and day.
Yeah.
A little bizarre.
Horse. What do you call that? Horse of a different color, or something like that. Just, I think a lot of us went through that. Like I know I did.
I can only assume everybody did.
Yeah, it was really a time of. Like I say, true colors really showed up for a lot of people, and I'm okay that we don't agree on everything. Like I'm sure you and I don't agree on everything, and that's okay. I think that the problem was how we did it. Like we can disagree and still be okay.
Yeah.
But something about that whole COVID thing, and then you bring the government into it, and this and we don't have to go down that road again, but there was a lot of that, right? And
then we were exposed to that thing that people being violently opposed.
Yes.
That never showed up in any fabric before.
Mm-hmm.
Not for me.
No.
I didn't go through that whole social revolution.
Even like you, yeah, like not like even the Vietnam War thing. You weren't.
Not really.
No, because I was huge protesting all the time, right?
I came out the tail end of that.
Yeah, yeah. Probably good that you did.
Yeah, I'm grateful, really grateful that and I never had to go through that.
Yeah.
But I know some people that did.
Yeah. It's still even a subject, like if I'm over in the States, been just going back years ago, like you just don't even bring that up.
No.
Do you remember? Yeah, no, we really don't want to remember, right? So what was it that like, you know, you work, you know, at the local company and stuff and the other things you mentioned, but music is really your main
number one
forte, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk. I've asked a couple of musicians this question, and some have said they sort of keep it to themselves, but are musicians, at least in this town, are they getting paid fairly?
No.
No. What? So, and that's the typical answer, which I agree with it, because I remember, you know, like I always talk about like a Mark Blaney, for example, played Robbie B's all the time, you know, got good wage and everything, like,
Mm-hmm.
and had a good steady gig. I talk to musicians today, and they're telling me what they're getting paid, and it's like, that's what you were getting 30 years ago.
Is there any other endeavor that you can do as a living that the wages have not gone up at all in 30 years?
Now, whose fault is that? And let me clarify that question. Is it the musician's fault, or is it the people who's hiring fault, or is it maybe a little bit of both?
I think we have to share it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a curious thing about booking gigs and especially in a small place like this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's just starting out.
Yeah.
They have something and it sounds okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it doesn't sound polished or professional, but it sounds okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, club owners
mm-hmm.
really just want something to make noise. They're not too particular about what the noise sounds like as long as it's there.
And it draws people in.
To
buy food and drink beer.
But see, the good musicians who are making a living doing it,
mm-hmm.
not weekend warriors, that's what I call the people that have the jobs down valley.
Yeah.
But on Saturdays they play guitar in a band.
Yeah.
Right? They don't need the money.
No, it's for fun. Which
it's
is
just
fine.
For fun. And it is fine.
Yeah.
But the ones that make a living at it
mm-hmm.
are kind of crippled by that, because people who don't do it for a living aren't aggressively seeking better money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to them. And the flip side of it is the less established musicians are willing to accept a lot less.
Yeah. And that's
and
a
mistake. The club
owners
owners look at it and they say, oh, I can get these guys for $100, but it costs $350 for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
See ya.
Well, the bottom line is the bottom line for the bar owner. Being in that position before myself, it was always like,
I'll never own a bar. I couldn't take it.
I could hire Bob Seger and put him in a bar, but I couldn't pay. It wouldn't be. It's not that he doesn't have value, but it's not worth it to me to pay what he would want to sell beer and food.
You can't balance it off with the revenue.
Do you think that, like, you know, that new person coming out, and I just had this conversation with another musician, Sue Weber, who was on the show recently, and then
Sue.
Oh, she's fantastic.
George was incredible.
Oh yeah, we mostly talked about him.
What an icon! He taught me
everything
I know about playing organ.
Oh wow, that's fantastic for you to say. But we had that same conversation. I asked her the same question, and it's really interesting. A lot of musicians I asked that question to, even off camera, have the similar answer to you when it comes to those who work in the valley and the weekend warrior kind of thing. But and I've talked to photographers and, like you put it, new people starting out in a business. I want to get the exposure. I want to get my name out there.
Exposure buck.
Stop. I think, right? Well, I'm not, and they've said to me, well, I'm not good enough at what I do yet to charge money. And I was saying, yes, you are. You have to show confidence in your value, I think is the way to say it. And if you don't charge any money, I will say there's some things you do for free. Maybe, like I usually pick like 4 charities close to my heart and I'll go, yep, I'll support you on that. But try to get paid to be an MC, right? It's very similar. And so that's a mistake then. Somebody new starting out, they do have value and worth, do they not?
Of course they do.
Right?
There's no other way to get that
right.
experience.
But you don't get paid the same as Aerosmith does or
No.
Elton John does, right?
No.
So should there be, I guess what I'm getting at is should there be a tier level?
I believe there should. But
not so low.
Not so low it hurts to go to the gig. The classic joke, the $5,000 worth of equipment in a $500 car, you drive 500 miles for $50.
Right. Well, Randy Bachman, we just saw him, and he said drove all the way out
essentially
to
the same
$400.
thing,
And then every story he told, it was like $400,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we had a $500 gas bill.
Yep.
Yeah. How do we overcome that? Because I've asked this question more and more.
I really don't know what the fix would be.
Yeah.
The
price of beer goes up.
Yeah. I talked with George Weber quite a bit about it.
Yeah.
And he was really a big fan for putting together a union, a musicians union here.
Sue talked about that.
Now, I was a member of the musicians union in Nashville for 10 years.
Right.
Nashville is peculiar.
Yeah.
It's got more music happening than any other place in the United States.
Right.
Right.
They don't pay.
But there are so many people lined up to play for exposure bucks that bars won't pay the band.
Yeah.
They have to pass the hat.
Yeah.
And they
it's like that in New Orleans.
And they live on tips. Unless you're one of the 20 guys that does every single show.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is something. Those guys are banking it.
There is something to be said for opening up for Garth Brooks or
sure.
like whoever, a big name, and go, that looks good on a resume. But you don't you don't feed yourself doing that.
Nope.
Yeah.
I actually had a little close chance of maybe elbowing my way into that because Charlie Daniels' band was going to go on tour a few years back. And their keyboard player got killed in a car accident.
Yeah.
And they're 2 weeks away from going on the road.
Mm.
So their bass player, I'm trying to remember his name. Bill.
He's probably not watching. It's okay.
Yeah, I hope not. Anyway, called me and asked me if I wanted to throw my hat in the ring.
Mm-hmm. Did you?
I absolutely. So, try to set up a time when I could go in and audition. Then he called me back the next morning. He said, kid came in last night and blew us all away. He said he knew every note of every song. He says, we're taking him on the road.
Yeah.
So it's close. I got asked by the Charlie Daniels band. You got asked by him,
that's the start. That's okay.
Okay. I'm all right with
that. Did you ever have a pre-notion or a thought or a dream or whatever you want to call it that you were going to make it big?
Never.
No.
If it happens, it happens.
You just want to do what you love, right?
I do.
Yeah. And see, to me, that you have made it big because you're doing it.
I think so.
Yeah. It's not all about the money. I mean, it's up there with oxygen, but.
Money would be nice. But it's never been my prime consideration. Yeah. And there's been a lot of people in my life that have told me that if I just shift my focus a little bit, I could be wildly successful. Yeah. Well, what's successful to you?
Well, that's right.
A successful artist is so saddled with making sure he does the corporate thing,
Mm-hmm.
making sure he follows all the rules of the recording companies,
Yeah.
making sure he pays all of his dues and all of his this, that, and the other thing. And by the time it all shakes out, he gets 4% of the gross. And
Publicists get paid first.
And because they front the money to them,
yeah,
they spend the next 20 years on the road paying them back.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's a horrible grind, and it eats people up and spits them out.
Is it more the glory?
Yes.
Like, it's like, look at me, and I made it, and how well I am. And
most musicians have huge egos.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I do.
Yeah. No, I know you do, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I wouldn't say
I wouldn't say there's an ego and then there's an arrogant ego. I don't think you have an arrogant ego.
No, I don't have a guitarist ego.
But I think that well, that's why bass players are bass players and not guitar players, right? Yeah. Because your ego, and I go back to like, well, even when I remember coming over here to rehearse for Sarnia Sings, that you've been a part of now for many years, and I said, well, play anyway. You just did it, but I think your ego was happy because I asked you, would you help me, and could you do this for me? And that's
kind of a little boost.
Yeah, absolutely, right. When somebody, so it's a good ego. And then the ego, maybe when you're up there and you're rocking and you can feel the audience coming at you with a good vibe, and then your ego grows a little bit.
Sure.
But again, in a good way. You're going, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm a part of this. Right?
I try not to make it so that it takes over and makes me somebody I'm not.
Right.
Because I don't want to be two-faced.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get.
Yeah. Dave, you've done really well, man. I know as long as I've known you, you've shared some of those struggles along the way, and you've overcome a lot of obstacles, and had some, I guess, what you might call failures, but they're failures that led to the next thing. And I know there's a lot of times you wanted to quit and go, okay, I'll just go. But
well, I'm only human, Dave.
Yeah, but we all go through it. But you didn't quit. Some people do, and you didn't quit. And I've observed that from afar, and I'm proud of you for going through. I always say you don't go through it, you grow through it. And
that's a neat way to say it. Yeah,
and you've done that for sure, and you've impacted a lot of people with your music and your recording and your stories. I would I know I keep going back to Randy Bachman, but it's just because we saw him recently and it was for the second time. And you're like him when it comes to storytelling.
Well, there's just had so much stuff happen in my life. People have told me, well, why don't you write a book?
You should be doing a podcast.
I don't have time to write a book.
Let's just sit down and talk into a microphone.
I don't even have time to do that.
Yeah, right. I don't have time to do the things I want to do. Well, as long as the other people are paying for it, I mean, that's good. So I thank you because I have seen your progress and what you've done with your music and everything. And by the way, how's the motorcycle?
It's good.
Yeah.
I rebuilt this thing.
It,
it's 35 years old.
It's a Kawasaki, though.
Yeah.
Mine's Kawasaki.
Well, I took it out on the road a couple of days ago. Now it's got a little bit of a clunk in the back wheel.
Okay.
And so I put it up on the stand and I looked up under there and there's gear oil coming out of the rear hub. So I'm going to have to take it apart and see what's busted.
It's fixable, though. It's not a Harley.
It's always fixable. Yeah. And when
motorcycle riders will get that. Harley people are throwing stones at the screen.
Oh, and when you start it and it's sitting there on a kickstand, it doesn't pee on the ground.
Right. That's awesome. David, thank you so much for your friendship and your musical impact on this community. I know you've done a lot here. And he was all worried about so what's this about? What am I going to talk about? You had no I knew there was. I'm like whatever. We just get him talking. It'll be okay. Thanks to all of you for watching. And I'll keep saying it. Click the like and the love. That's awesome. But the most important button to click is the share button, so we can share my friend Dave Thomas's story and all the other people that we have here on the show. And thanks to you for watching. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time here on the show. Bye bye for now.
Thank you.
See, that was easy, wasn't it?